iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa tẹ́ bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa tẹ́ bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
It is as impossible to withhold education from the receptive mind as it is impossible to force it upon the unreasoning. With this quote from Agnes Replerg, I welcome you all to another edition of this wonderful program on radio, Education Today. Education Today is a program that aims to call the attention of the public to education matters as they affect the effective running of the educational system and the achievement of educational goals. This comes on air every Saturday on this station, Light Radio. I am Nima Ibrahim. Good afternoon.
And I am Karim Aminat. Good afternoon. Our goal is to educate, inform, orientate, and entertain the society on educational matters, address issues affecting the educational system, influence public opinion, and drive effective educational policy directions to guide the formulators and implementers. For your comments, questions, and contributions, you can reach us on Facebook via www.facebook.com/lightradio, on X at the Light Radios, on Instagram light _radio, on YouTube Light Radio. You can also call us or send a message to us via SMS or WhatsApp on 0809 3738 4000. Once again, 0809 738 4000. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, the program continues. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined in, you are listening to Education Today on Light Radio. We kick off with a new segment with Nima Ibrahim. Nima, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine. All right. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the news on Education Today, reaching you live from Light Radio. Once again, I am Nima Ibrahim, and first, the headlines. Federal government reverses ban on under 18 admissions in tertiary institutions. Pay are without salaries, Konwa tells federal government. Unpaid fees, Zamfara government rescues 88 students stranded in Cyprus varsity. And on the foreign scene, Keir Starmer increases university tuition fees for the first time in 8 years. Now the details. Dr. Tunji Alausa, the newly appointed Minister of Education, has announced the abolition of the 18-year admission benchmark for tertiary institutions in Nigeria. During his inaugural press conference held in Abuja on Wednesday, he suggested that his administration may review the country's education policy. Despite this shift, Minister Alausa confirmed that there will be no reversal of the federal government's decision to annul over 22,000 1,700 degree certificates obtained by Nigerians from certain fake universities in neighboring Togo and Benin Republic. Recall that on August 26th, the federal government officially banned individuals under the age of 18 from participating in the National Examinations Council (NECO) and the West African Examinations Council (WAEC) exams. The former Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, made the announcement where he explained that the government has instructed WAEC and NECO to enforce the 18-year age requirement for exam candidates. However, after several debates, the federal government exempted exceptionally intelligent students who are below the age of 18 from the ban on underage individuals taking the West African Senior Secondary Certificate Examination (WASC) and National Examination Council (NECO). The Congress of University Academics, CONUA, has again called on the federal government to pay the withheld 3.5-month salaries of members across the nation's universities. The union insisted that since its members did not declare strike nor join the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, during the last nationwide strike in 2022, upon which the salaries were withheld, the government shouldn't have withheld the salaries of its members. The national president of the group, Dr. Niyi Sumonu, gave this position in a statement made available to the press on Tuesday. He argued that for the federal government to be treating ASU members who went on strike that period the same way as CONUA members who didn't go on strike was simply unjust, describing the action as tantamount to punishing the innocent alongside the guilty. Similarly, CONUA also called on President Tinubu to do an upward review of salaries and allowances of lecturers, saying for academics to remain on almost the same salaries for 15 years despite the steady rise in cost of living is totally unfair and condemnable. The Zamfara state government has provided intervention to alleviate the sufferings and difficulties being faced by 93 students from the state sponsored by the previous administration of former governor of the state, Alhaji Bello Muhammad Matawali, to study different courses at the Cyprus International University. Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal, on learning about the difficult situation of the students who are said to have been abandoned to their fate since 2022, gave directive for speedy intervention to alleviate their plight, including sending a delegation to see to the welfare of the affected students and interface with the university authorities. The latest intervention by Governor Lawal has seen Zamfara government spending over 224 million naira in payments of accumulated fund of tuition fees, accommodation, and upkeep of students. The Federal Ministry of Education and members of Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, have agreed to work in synergy in ensuring lasting reforms in tertiary education in Nigeria. This demonstration of shared commitment to strengthening Nigeria's education sector was highlighted when the new Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, hosted the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TET Fund, led by Senator Muntari Dandose, for an oversight visit focused on advancing initiatives across tertiary institutions. Director, Press and Public Relations Folashade Boriowo made this known in a statement on Friday in Abuja. She also noted that the session aimed to assess ongoing programs and develop strategic solutions to tackle key challenges, from curriculum enhancements to the allocation of critical infrastructure funding. In addition, the minister in his remark underscored the ministry's commitment to enhancing Nigeria's educational foundation in alignment with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's vision. and away from Nigeria. University tuition fees will increase in England for the first time in 8 years as part of a major overhaul of the higher education system, Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson has announced. The announcement appears to set Labour on course for a clash with one of their biggest voter bases, the students. It follows other groups losing out, with 10 million pensioners hit by the removal of the winter fuel payments and wages being hit by the hike in national insurance. Tuition fees have been frozen at £9,250 since 2015, but will now rise in line with the retail price index inflation from September 2025. Matching them to the current rate of inflation at 2.7% would mean they increase to around £9,500. And in her announcement, Ms. Phillipson said that the changes represented a new relationship with universities and warned that the sector will need to make changes as part of the package. That's all on the news today, but before we go, another look at the top stories. Federal government reverses ban on under-18 admissions in tertiary institutions. Pay our with ed salaries, Conwa cries out to federal government. Unpaid fees. Zamfara government rescues 88 students stranded in Cyprus University. And on the foreign scene, Keir Starmer increases university tuition fees for the first time in 8 years. And that's the news, which was compiled by Nima Ibrahim and edited by OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Do not forget, for the coverage of your educational events, seminars, competitions, trainings, among others, you can reach us on 0702-507-4268, or you can send us an email via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and please stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are listening to Education Today, and right now we'll take the icon of the week with my co-host in the studio, Amina. Hello once again, Amina.
I'm good. How are you doing, Nima?
I'm very well. All right. All right, you have it.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. My name is Aminat Karim. You're welcome to the Icon of the Week segment, where we consider the life and times of individuals that lived inspiring lives and contributed immensely to educational development in the world. I am Karim Aminat. Our icon for this week is Professor Olarotimi, a Nigerian scholar, writer, playwright, and director. He was called a complete man of the theater for being an actor, director, choreographer, and designer who created performance spaces influenced by traditional architectural forms. Let's move to the background and education of Olarotimi. Olawale Gladstone Emmanuel Rotimi, best known as Olarotimi, 13th April 1938, was one of the Nigeria's leading playwrights and theatre directors. Rotimi was the son of Samuel Gladstone Eniton Rotimi, a Nigeria steam launch engineer, a successful director and producer of amateur theatrical, and Dorcas Adole Oru Ene Ado in Ijo drama enthusiast. He was born in Sapele, Nigeria. Cultural diversity was a recurring theme in his work. He attended St. Cyprian's School in Port Harcourt from 1945 to 1949. St. Jude's School, Lagos, from 1951 to 1952, and the Methodist Boys High School, Lagos, before traveling to the United States in 1959 to study at Boston University, where he obtained a BA in the Fine Arts. In 1965, he married Hazel Mai Gaudreau. Hazel was also studied in Boston University, where she majored in opera, voice, and music education. In 1966, he obtained an MA from Yale School of Drama, where he earned the distinction of being a Rockefeller Foundation Scholar in Playwriting and Dramatic Literature. Let's move to his work experiences and positions. Upon returning to Nigeria in the 1960s, Rotimi taught at the universities of Ife, which is now Obafemi Awolowo University, and Port Harcourt. He also founded the Ori Olokun Acting Company at Ife and Port Harcourt. Rotimi often examined Nigeria's history and ethnic traditions in his works. His first play, To Sell the God of Iron, which was produced in 1963, and Her Husband Has Gone Mad Again, which was also produced in 1966 and was published in 1977, was staged at the drama schools of Boston University and Yale, respectively. His later dramas include The God and Not to Blame, which was produced in 1968 and was published in 1971. A retelling of the Oedipus myth in majestic blank verse, Kurumi and the Prodigal, which was produced in 1969 and was published as Kurumi 1971, written for the second Ife Festival of Arts, Ovon Ramwen Nogbaisi, produced in 1971 and was published in 1974, about the last ruler of the Benin Empire, and Olden Talks, which was produced in 1979. Later plays such as Eve, A Tragedy of the Road, which was produced in 1983, and Hopes of the Living Dead, which was also produced in 1999, premiered at the University of Port Harcourt. The radio plays Everyone Is or Our Problems was broadcast in 1987. His book, African Drama Literature, To Be or To Become, was also published in 1991. Owing in part to political conditions in Nigeria, Rotimi spent much of the 1990s living in the Caribbean and the United States, where he taught at the Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota in 2000, which he returned to Ile-Ife, joining the faculty of Obafemi Awolowo University, where he lectured till his demise. Rotimi spent the second half of his last creative decade reworking two of his plays, Man Talk, Woman Talk, and also Tororo, Tororo, Roro, and the results, unpublished at the time of his death in 2000, have now been published under the title The Epilogue, were probably meant to be an epilogue to both Rotimi's theatrical and comic careers, which spanned the entire spectrum of his career. Moving on to his awards and recognition, Rotimi was awarded 2 Fulbright scholarships as well as Nigerian National Merit Award in 1982, Commonwealth Writers' Prize in 1982 also, and the honorary doctorate from the University of Benin in 1994. His death and legacies. Hazel, his wife, died in May 2000, only a couple of months before Rotimi's death. He died on 18th August 2000 at the age of 62, leaving behind a legacy as one of Nigeria's most celebrated playwrights. Rotimi, a patriot who shunned the attraction of the West and Europe and returned to home to contribute his own culture to the nation building, was a rare breed. Diminutive in size but a giant in drama in Africa, it was one of the best things that could have happened to the literary community. Rotimi is sure to be remembered as a model in the literary genre whose views have shaped the conduct of the theatre and whose plays have demonstrated the power of drama to shape the thinking of the society and attempted to solve some of the problems encountered in everyday living. His contributions to Nigeria literacy and theatre are immense, including co-founder the University of Ibadan's drama department, a pioneer Nigerian theatre tradition, a mentor to notable Nigerian writers and actors. In 2015, Society of Young Nigeria Writers under the leadership of Wole Adedoyin founded Olarotimi Literary Society. His website is www.olarotimiliteracysociety.blogspot.com, aimed at promoting and reading the works of Olarotimi. And that's it on the Icon for the Week segment. Once again, I am Kareem Aminat. Education Today continues shortly. Please.
ọmọ tí kò gbẹ́kọ̀ ó dání lójú pé yóò jìyà ọmọ tí kò gbà ẹ̀kọ́ ó dání lójú pé yóò jìyà iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n tún fọ́lé ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yìn òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n tún fọ́lé ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yìn òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yìn òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
That was the Icon of the Week segment to celebrate the renowned scholar, playwright, and director, Professor Olarotimi. And right now, we'll take the School in Focus segment with Mr. KAZEEM. Good afternoon, Mr. KAZEEM.
Good afternoon, Nima. Good afternoon, our listeners. It's a pleasure to be here as always.
All right, you have the floor.
Good afternoon and welcome to the School in Focus segment, where we'll take a look at institutions of interest, provide a background for their establishment, the administration, and some notable alumni. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Our School in Focus today is Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, Nigeria. Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, UDUS, also known as UDUSOK, is a public research university located in the city of Sokoto, northwestern part of Nigeria. It is one of the initial 12 universities founded in Nigeria by the federal government in September 1975. The development of the university started on a temporary site, now called City Campus, situated along Sultan Abubakar Road, Sokoto, Classes started in October 20th, 1977 with an initial enrollment of 93 undergraduate students for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Arts and Sciences in Education, and Bachelor of Science, and an academic staff strength of 33. In January 1978, 102 students enrolled for a 2-year pre-degree program in the Humanities and Basic Sciences. With this modest start, the Usman Danfodio University Sokoto formally graduated a total of 72 students during its first convocation, held in November 22nd, 1980. The university's motto is Ikra, which means read. The degree is awarded based on character and learning. The university is named after the famous 18th century Islamic scholar and founder of the Sokoto Caliphate, Sheikh Usman Danfodio. The university offers 3 to 6 year degree awarding programs as well as associate degrees and remedial programs. The university has a standard medical program and university teaching hospital. The university is divided into 3 campuses. The main campus houses faculties of agriculture, arts, Arabic and Islamic studies, education, engineering, law, life sciences, social sciences, physical and computing sciences, Center for Entrepreneurship Development, Center for Peace Studies, and Center for Energy Research and Training. The University Senate, the main library complex, Abdullah Danfodio Library Complex, and the School of Postgraduate Studies are also located at the main campus with over 4,500 seating capacity and information resources, both online and offline databases. The annex campus hosts the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Veterinary Teaching Hospital, the Center for Islamic Studies, and the School of Remedial and Basic Studies, popularly known as the School of Matriculation Studies. A third campus houses the university's teaching hospital, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, College of Health Sciences, Faculty of Dentistry, and Faculty of Medical Laboratory Science. In November 1982, Sokoto Energy Research Center was established at the instance of the federal government to execute research in solar energy and train manpower in that area. The postgraduate school of the university was established in 1983 for the training of graduates in various disciplines at the master's and doctorate degree levels. At the convocation ceremony held in December 1986, the school produced its first PhD graduate in chemistry. The university has 15 faculties, including Faculty of Agriculture, Arts, Arabic and Islamic Studies, Education and Extension Service, among others. Notable alumni of the university include Tajuddin Abbas, current Speaker of the House of Representatives of Nigeria, Sani Magaji Tambuwal, current Clerk of the National Assembly of Nigeria, Atiku Bagudu, former Senator and former Governor of Kebbi State and currently Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abdurrashid Bawa, Economics and Detective, former Chairman of Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abubakar Malami San, a lawyer, senior advocate of Nigeria, politician and Nigeria's former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Aminu Tambuwal, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, former Governor of Sokoto State and current Senator for Sokoto South, Isatu Ture, political activist and social reformer, a former Gambian Minister of Trade in the Barrow's cabinet and the current Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Abdulmumin Kabir Usman, the current Emir of Katsina State, Mahmoud Yakubu, the professor and chairman of Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Ahmad Aliyu, a doctor, former first executive secretary of Nigerian Police Trust Fund, and the current governor of Sokoto State. You also have Umar Muhammad Bago, a successful banker and current executive governor of Niger State, Nigeria, Nasir Idris, former national chairman of Nigerian Union of Teachers and the current governor of Kebbi State, Nigeria, as well as Muhammad Idris Malagi, publisher of Blueprint newspaper and current Minister of Information and Culture, Nigeria. For more information on courses, programs, and admission processes in the university, interested applicants can visit the school's website on www.udusok.edu.ng. That is www.udusok.edu.ng. That's it on our School in Focus for today. I remain OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Education Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
are still on to Education Today on Light Radio, and right now we are moving into the discuss segment, and our guest is very much here with us. And on this edition, we are discussing reversal of age requirements for admission into tertiary institutions in Nigeria between reform and policy somersault. The topic of discourse once again is the reversal of the age requirements for admission into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Reform or policy somersault, which is it? Now, on Wednesday, 6th November 2024, the newly appointed Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, announced the abolition of the 18-year admission benchmark for tertiary institutions in Nigeria. During his inaugural press conference held in Abuja, he suggested that his administration may review the country's education policy. And you'd recall that the federal government, through the former Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, announced that candidates less than 18 years of age would no longer be admitted into Nigerian tertiary institutions from 2025, and that was just a couple of months ago. That was around August. Now, on the program today, we want to examine this policy reversal and its implications for Nigeria's higher education.
Joining us on the program today, we have an educational administrator, lecturer, researcher, educational consultant, and our in-house analyst, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Amina. Good afternoon, Nima. And good afternoon, our listeners.
Okay, don't forget you can be part of the discourse by sending your comments and questions to 0809 738 4000. Once again, 0809 738 4000. Or drop your comments via the live radio feeds on Facebook and YouTube. Before moving into the discourse properly, a short quiz question. In what year was Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto established? Again, in what year was Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto established? Send your answer to the WhatsApp number 0809 738 4000 or our Facebook or YouTube page. The first correct answer wins the prize. There is a prize for that. So the first correct answer wins the prize.
All right. I do hope someone takes home our prize on this edition again. All right. So without further ado, Mr. KAZEEM, can you explain the recent reversal of age requirements for admission into tertiary institutions?
Thank you very much. Like your background, read, in August this year, especially even before August, during the time when the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination was being written, during the supervision process, the former Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, expressed, surprise at, the age of many of the candidates that wrote that examination. I felt that a lot of these people are underaged. A lot of them, they lack the maturity expected of someone who is about to actually gain admission into a tertiary institution. People like 14, 15, writing UTME, and you're like, so are you going to thrust such people into the university system or higher education system? A lot of people, those that still should be under the guidance of a parent or a guardian. And for that reason, he muted the idea that there is something we just have to address this particular issue. So during the policy meeting of JAM with the heads of tertiary institutions in Nigeria, the minister muted the idea and he said, henceforth, if you're underage, if you are less than 18, you'll not be given admission. At that policy meeting, the heads of these tertiary institutions pleaded with the minister that the implementation of that policy should not commence this year. Actually, it should be postponed till next year, because those that wrote the UTME this year wrote the examination on the basis and on the understanding and the condition that the candidates would be 16 years by October 1st, 2024. And that's the policy, which JAMB has actually implemented for so many years. At least for the fact that for anyone that will gain admission into tertiary institution, at least by October, 1st October of that particular year, must have been 16 years. And with that, they feel it's still kind of like okay. So, but with what the minister is now saying, that we cannot change the goalpost in the middle of the game. So, on that basis, the minister listened and acceded to their request and accepted that the commencement of the implementation of that policy would, be deferred till 2025, and that for this year 2024, the policy of 16 years will still suffice and would be adopted for this particular year. Now, and that was the understanding. So although for a lot of people they are like, for 18 years, so what would happen to someone probably already in SS3 this year, at least starting from September, and will probably be 16 or even be 15 by next year. So especially when there was this confusion as to whether or not they would even be allowed to write WAEC or NECO. Before Professor Dari Maman came out to say that the policy is not saying you will not be able to write WAEC or NECO. You're already in the secondary school system, so no problem. But the thing is, if as at that particular time and you graduate from your secondary school, you write your WAEC and you write your NECO, the policy is saying that if you're not 18 by 2025, you will not gain admission into any tertiary institution in Nigeria. And that was it. But the president reshuffled his cabinet, and one of the victims of that, reshuffle was Professor Dari Maman. So he lost his job. Now, so we have a new helmsman in the education ministry, Dr. Tuji Alausa, a medical doctor by training and by practice. He was formerly Minister of State for Health, now assuming the role of the substantive Minister of Education. And you have an associate professor, Soeba Said Ahmad, as Minister of State for Education. And usually, by arrangement, the Minister of State for Education is usually charged with the responsibility of managing the basic and post-basic education, while the substantive minister manages the tertiary level. So, now most likely, it will fall within the purview of Dr. Tuji Alausa. And his first press conference, he announced the suspension, or in fact, the word used was abolition and reversal of that 18-year requirement. So that's kind of background. So for people to understand where we are coming from and where we are at the moment. So that he is saying from that next year, status quo, ante, that the status quo will remain, that there is no change in any age requirement. If it's 16 is what we have been using all this while, it will continue like that. So there is no need for that no 18-year, something again.
All right. Thanks so much for that. So the next question is, what prompted the policy change, and how does it align with the country's education reform goals?
Well, I wouldn't say that is number one. It's not based on any goal in any way. There is no educational goal.
Vision in sight.
There is no educational goal behind this sudden decision by Dr. Tuji Alausa. It's not as if it's actually hinged at achieving a particular goal. There was no basis. Even if you check that story or any other thing, that press conference, there wasn't a particular goal that we feel like, okay, if we move admission entry age from 16 to 18, this is a particular, this is how, it would affect, or this is a particular goal that will be affected if we decide to go on with the implementation. Nothing anywhere. Although for some people they might say, probably it might affect the usual out of school population. It doesn't affect out of school population anyway.
A secondary school graduate is not out of school.
He's not out of school. That's one. Then number two is also the fact that there are so many other activities they could actually engage in before they gain admission to the university. And there are so many people that even graduate at probably whatever, even if it's 14 or 15 or 16.
Yeah.
A lot of them might not eventually even gain admission until probably even 17, 18, 19, or 20 sometimes, because a lot of them will still continue to battle with UTME. Some, yeah, they'll probably do well, but probably they might not meet up with the cutoff and probably have to go to a polytechnic or college of education, or some would even not even go in the first instance. Probably some might even say, okay, just some professional or certification courses that they want to do at that particular point in time. Some would even travel out of Nigeria. So it's not as if there's a particular goal. I don't think that the policy reversal now was hinged on the alignment with a particular goal inside, except if you're saying that it does not align with the educational policy of the Tinubu administration, then that in itself will be an indictment. So are you now saying that Professor Tai Mama just woke up from one part of his bed and just thought that, okay, let me just put this? Or it's not as if, because I know that a lot of people have reacted ignorantly to that policy, because the reality is Professor Tai Mama did not bring anything new. It is what is contained in our national policy. Our national policy stipulates that admission entry age into primary school is actually 6 years, and if you're to follow 6 plus 12 years, naturally you'll be 18 by the time you finish secondary school. So if you now say entry age into university or college of education or polytechnic at 18, it's not as if it's anything new. You're only trying to say that let us implement what we have in the policy. And even as at that time he made mention of that, he said we're only trying to implement what is in the policy. And again, for the fact that it does not mean if you have those who are specially gifted and talented, those that people call the genetic mistakes, they like less than 5% of the population, those who we call geniuses, that is a special arrangement for such people, that they are exempted from this policy. But for us to just conclude that everybody now becomes a genius, and that even if they want to gain admission at 14, that should be
no one would claim their word to be dull.
But the reality, you see, we can continue to do ourselves for all I care, but eventually we are seeing the results.
All right, so the entry age for basic education, which used to be 6 years, makes me remember the Yoruba way of doing it, that they say the award date or something. So, but some people would argue that children of nowadays, they are bigger smart, and they, you can find a 3-year-old whose hand would reach his ears, maybe. So
most unlikely. The thing is, see, that might just be the way those that implemented that policy in the past, they expected that at age 6 your hand should be able to touch the other air. But the thing is, educationally speaking, maturity is an essential necessity for learning to take place. Readiness is essential for learning to take place. So what we are saying is, education is not only about what you learn, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. There are some other things that some of these children can learn, can be engaged with, even if they have not started, the basic one of the thing. And that was what brought about the ECCDE, early childhood, care and development education, that can engage some of these children with some other things before they start primary one. And that was what brought about, all this playgroup, crash, and all those ones like that, nursery 1, nursery 2, and the likes like that. What our policy recognizes is actually 1 year of pre-primary education. Okay. Which some people now, interpret as the kindergarten. Before, from nursery, before you transition to basic, 1 year of that pre-primary education. The policy recognizes that. So, but what we are trying to say is that, at 5, you want the child to probably already be in primary 2. At 9, he's already through with primary education. You have one way or the other indirectly abolished primary 6. So they write probably exams at primary 4, primary 5. And some of them, they also skip classes, say, give them double promotion and things like that. So that at the end of the day, by age 14, because the truth of the matter is, it has a way by which it affects people.
Yeah. Nemesis has a way of catching up with this particular student. All right, so moving on, what are the potential impact of these policy reversal on Nigerian education, financially, economically, and the society at large? What are the potential impact it's going to have on us?
For me, I just feel like it, one way or the other, for a lot of people, they will be happy with it because a lot of people actually kicked against the policy by Professor Tari Maman when he muted the idea. So for a lot of them, it's victory at last. And that's why at the point I was like, probably that was the unforgivable sin of Professor Tari Maman, which probably cost him his job. A whole lot of people see. Let me tell you, you can't rule out the impact of lobbying by some people who feel like, because at some point people even read, they gave ethnic coloration to that policy.
They felt attacked.
They felt that it's a policy that was meant to actually thwart the educational advancement of the South. So that you're trying to delay the children of the South to wait for those of the North and things like that. See, that's absurd. A fact. How absurd it might sound. And you look at it that quite well, these guys are actually ignorant of educational standards. And if you also look at even international climes, it's not as if it's strange. There are some even countries that you don't even start primary school until you're 7. And we're not talking about just ordinary countries. We are talking about high-flying countries, including Finland, that has one of the best educational systems in the world, including Canada, including the United States of America, including the United Kingdom. So it's not as if you just brought this thing from, the moon or something like that. And those who actually drafted our national policy on education that put the entry age at 6 for GSS when they put it at 11 plus, they actually did not make a mistake. But if you're not trying to say that, well, that's just for them, it's nonsense. I feel like probably, what we could have just done, let us have actually a roundtable discussion. Let us look at it. Let us examine. Yeah, even if it's a policy, policies can be changed in realities of time. But it should not just be by fiat. That's just what I actually don't like.
Okay, thank you so much for that beautiful insight. Now, the other question is, what are the potential risks and benefits of this reversing age requirements for admissions, and how can they be mitigated or maximized?
Well, for the benefit, for a lot of parents, students, and those excuse me, those guardians who feel like the children are ready. 16 years, at least, probably, especially for those who are already in secondary school right now, and they've already calculated that by 2025, for instance, or 2025 upwards, the children will probably fall at 16. So if we were to go ahead by that policy of 18 years ordinarily, the admission that particular year will have been threatened. So for a lot of them now, they are peers. So that's a benefit for them. At least it's a gain. It's a win-win for them. Yeah. But for those, so that's one. The number two is also the fact that, for me, the potential risk there is just that it portrays us as a set of people that are actually unserious and inconsistent.
Yes,
exactly. That's
confusionists.
Yes.
Because
just 2 months,
that just shows how unserious we are and how spontaneous our political office holders could be. So it means therefore that we are coming up with policies that cannot outlast the holders of such office, and that shows us as unserious set of people. Because ordinarily when we're talking about policy should outdate the policy maker. If truly it's a very good policy and it's a well thought out policy and it's a policy that also enjoyed consensus of the populace.
Yes.
So it's either we are saying that Professor Tari Maman is an unserious person, or that Dr. Tuju Alausa is an unserious person, or that the Tinubu administration is an administration of confusionists where they don't even have a direction. It depends on whoever they actually thrust into the education ministry, so they can just continue to play Nigerians like football. And that for me is a risk, because unfortunately we're talking about the fact that we have an educational system where it's only probably Nigerians that are actually involved in it. We no longer enjoy that patronage of foreign students or even foreign like teachers within our educational system as it was many years back, where we had many foreigners as students and as workers within the educational system. But looking at a whole lot of problems and challenges bedeviling our educational system today, a lot of them have actually left. In fact, you even have Nigerians that have actually lost, trusts and confidence in our own educational system. And that's why you can have schools that will tell you, in Nigeria, say we are running British curriculum, we are running US curriculum. It doesn't make sense. It's a show that people have lost confidence in our own curriculum or in our own educational system. And that's why you see many Nigerians running this foreign curriculum, or even sending their children abroad
outside the country.
So it's something that we really need to look at. And in mitigating it, I would say that there should be robust interaction, discussions, brainstorming, engagement with the people before we agree on a particular policy, and involve stakeholders, especially the professionals. So, and that's one of the issues that I have with the fact that I just brought a medical doctor into the educational system. To them, everything will just be like injection and tablets. Because you continue to, that's the way you probably perceive the people. Oh, like a patient that needs treatment. So let me just to a carpenter, approaching every issue will just be like a nail and hammer. Relationship. So that's it. So if you are talking about educational policies, I expect that before the minister would probably just come out, I was asking myself, who were those that he engaged with? But I don't know.
All right, so I remember that you clearly stated some of these things that are playing out now, like the issue of him coming and then throwing away the policies of
Professor Tari Mama.
You clearly stated it, and I personally would have expected that he comes up with something new first, rather than just throwing away what the previous administration just introduced. So we expect better from them. So moving on, what are the challenges that you foresee in these policy reversal, and how can we tackle them?
First is that for one, for instance, I'm suspicious of whatever that is coming from the Ministry of Education,
headed by
not just not just because it's headed by a medical doctor. Okay, let me give you this instance. Before President Tari Maman left and Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu left the education ministry, both of them just concluded a new education curriculum for basic and post-basic education with the infusion of entrepreneurship and the likes like that.
Yes.
That for me, for instance, ordinarily, I'm already afraid that will they not jettison that? This, because the truth is, this is a new minister. In fact, we have two new ministers entirely in that ministry. So it wasn't as if probably one was retained and that one could actually brief the new one. This is where we're coming from. This is where we have got to, and these are the reasons why we did this and that.
But that even picked from the ministry itself.
God bless you.
People that have been in the system
there.
Before.
So, but unfortunately, we also have a station where, like I said, you have a medical doctor as minister, and you now have an associate professor of education as the junior minister. So I don't know.
Clashes.
So even beyond clashes, it's a case of putting So who exactly should drive policy in that ministry? So those are the things. So I just say, for me, it's something that, and for a lot of people who probably have interest in coming to the education and probably interacting with whoever that is there now, even if I have an idea and I want to probably relate with Dr. Tuji Alausa, and probably he might give me a listening ear, do you think I will not have the fear that if Dr. Tuji Alausa, no, it's not even about rejection. If he happens to leave that ministry now, automatically probably that might just go. Whatever idea and initiatives that he's bringing up now as the minister, probably just go with him if he eventually leaves the cabinet. And that's the problem. And that's why we feel like it should be about Nigeria and Nigerian education, not about the minister.
Or the people we put
Or
there.
the people that, the office holders. And that for me is something we really need to, consider critical.
We really need to do better in our country, whereby a policy doesn't just die because the person that brought it, the person that tried to implement it is no longer in office, and it cuts across all the
all aspects of our life.
Exactly,
all aspects of our life.
We have a president that just introduced something, and then the next one comes, and the first thing he does is to
rubbish it and throw it away and say, I want to start from the beginning.
I mean, I don't have a problem if you're discarding one policy, but you should come with something to replace, something that
better.
should be better. Exactly.
And it's not just even that.
Take something away and then you left.
Now, who determines what is better? Exactly. Was there any engagement? And that's what we were saying. See, engagement with the people. See, the truth is the political elites don't actually respect Nigeria. They don't respect us. They don't rate us at all.
They don't think anything good can come out.
And it doesn't make any sense.
Even though we are the ones on the receiving end. So
and that's wrong, manager. Administratively, those who be affected by a policy should actually be consulted at the policy formulation stage of whatever you're doing.
All right. Okay.
Okay, thanks so much once again. So the next question is, are there any opportunities or innovation and improvement in tertiary institution that this policy reversal could facilitate?
Well, I would just say that
bright side that we are looking.
Yeah, that could be bright side. For the fact that for some people it allows them, quick entry. Part of it is the fact that you have people that graduate early from schools, and labor market wise, it pays them because they're entering to the labor market to be at a lower age. Because a lot of people actually are having issues with the way employers of labor, demand some things. Imagine if you are already been bedeviled with ASU strike, jam for so many years, trying to pass UTME and so many. So you're already probably entering into tertiary institution at the age of 21. So that becomes a problem. And at the end, you probably graduate at the age of 26, 27. And then your employer, though, you decide to go, you go for service another year and things like that. And at the point of entering into the job market, they are telling you you don't want anybody that is above the age of 23 and will have at least minimum of 2-year work experience. Like, God, how am I going to steal the work experience? And at what age? So that I'm not 23 now, so is that the end of the world for me? So for this now, it's still an advantage to them. And for us, and I think that it throws up an opportunity for a serious engagement. And I would want to call on all those eggheads that we have within the education sector. All these are our professors, our doctors, administrators of these institutions, colleges of education, polytechnics, universities, that this is an opportunity. ASU, ASUP, KOASU, all those unions. It's an opportunity for us to actually call for an education sector probably retreat or conference or something like that. Let us all come and look at educational system, funding, the entry age, and so many other issues bedeviling. So that this is a new minister. Okay, tell us your plans for education, and those of us that are there, we can tell you some of these things you're bringing. Can tell you the implication of whatever you're bringing, and we'll say these are our problems, and these are the things that we think you can do. To address some of these problems, so that let us bridge the gap between the government and the people before we come up with any policy. By the time we bridge that gap, we'll be on the same page, and whatever policies we are bringing, there will be a shared understanding, a shared vision. As a leader, it's not enough for you to have a vision. The vision must get policy office holders to govern or administer the educational system by their whims and caprices. That is the essence of having a policy. We should be there to implement the policies. So, except if I can say that the only way by which you can address even issue is to address it from the foundation. Universities who are admitting students that are even less than 16.
14 years.
Private universities don't respect it. So what should we do about them?